So we left off in section 1.2. We've just finished example 2, and so now the last part of this is looking at absolute value. So the absolute value of a number is the distance between the number and 0. Now, and I like to think of it in terms of the number line. So the distance between the number and 0 on the number line. So if I wanted the absolute value of 2, you could visually take a look at it and say, okay, well, I got 0, I got 2. How far apart are they? Well, you can count and just say, oh, well, they're 2 apart. So that's the answer. The answer is 2. Now, mathematicians are lazy people. So we don't like to write a lot of words if we don't have to. If we can use symbols or something like that to represent these terms, then that's what they're going to do. So instead of writing the absolute value of 2, we can shorten it down by putting a vertical line on either side of the number. So this actually means the same thing as this. So this answer is 2. But now what about this one? So we want the absolute value of -3. So if we looked at our number line, so we said, okay, 0, 1, 2, 3. So that's what it looks like, but now how far apart are they on the number line? Well, we can count and see that it's 3. So even though it's a negative number that they're taking the absolute value of, the answer is still a positive 3, which is kind of a weird anomaly, but that's the way it is. That's the way it's interpreted. Now, can we do some little things to kind of trip you up on this? You betcha. So let's take a look at the next page and see what that could look like. So now, what's that going to be equal to? Now, if your gut reaction is 20, well, that's not right. Because look at where the negative sign is. The negative is not inside of the absolute value, it's outside of it. And because it's outside, you have to treat it last. So in this case, if we covered it up and said, okay, what's the absolute value of 20? The answer is 20. But because the negative's on the outside, we have to tack it on at the end. So this is equal to a -20. So what about this one? If I can find my finger here. Let's go to the absolute value of 7 minus 3. Well, what's your gut reaction about that? Do you think it's going to be a positive answer or a negative answer? Hopefully, you're thinking it's positive. And if you are, oh, that's not the right one. There's the right one. Yeah, it's going to have to be positive. And we can show that if we just do the simplification of it. So first thing we would do is do the subtraction, which we know that's equal to 4. So now this reduces to the absolute value of 4. So now that's going to have to equal 4. Now for some reason, the lighting in this is not looking very good. So let's see if that helps. Yeah, that helps a little bit. Okay, so the answer should be 4 for this one. So now let's take a look at the last one. So what do you think about this one? You think the answer is going to be positive or negative? Well, the trick is well, what do we do with these negatives here? What are they going to do? Well, let's start to break it down and see what happens. So we're going to keep them for now and just worry about what's in the parentheses. So we got 6 minus 1, which we know is equal to 5. And because it's a positive answer, the parentheses can go away. We don't need to keep them anymore. We're going to see more about when we can get rid of parentheses and when we should keep them as we go. But for now, because the answer is positive inside the parentheses, we can lose them. So now we're left with this, negative of the absolute value of -5. Now some of you are saying, oh, well, that's easy. The two negatives cancel out. The answer's got to be 5, right? No, unfortunately, the answer is not 5. And the reason why is you have to treat it the same way we did this one up here. Because if you cover up that negative sign, the absolute value of -5 is a positive 5. But then when we tack on that negative at the end, it's going to have to be negative. So that should be our answer, -5. Here's an easy way to think of it. if there's a negative on the outside, no matter what's going on the inside, it's going to have to be negative. If there's no negative on the outside, then it's going to have to be positive no matter what. So there's a little the trick to that. So now if we just do these last couple, that should finish us off. So now in order to do these ones safely, I would first simplify and get rid of those absolute values and then try to analyze it, which we can do so using a number line, or if you're just able to look at it and know, then that's great too. So the first thing we got to do is get rid of these absolute values. So the absolute value of -2 is, and you better be screaming 2, should be positive. So this problem reduces to 2 is greater than -2. Is that true or false? Hopefully you're saying true. Because if we plot those two numbers on the number line, +2 better be on the right, -1 better be on the left. So so 2 is to the right of -1. So this is true. So what about this one? Well, we got to first simplify. So negatives on the outside, no matter what's going on the inside, it better be negative. So this is going to be a -18. This one, the negative's on the inside, and there's nothing on the outside, so this is going to have to be a +12. So is -18 less than +12? We don't even need a number line, do we? Yeah, that's going to be true. All right, so this video is a little bit shorter just to wrap up this section, but hopefully it answers all of your questions related to this. So keep on trucking, and we're going to jump into the next video in just a few